Flows and Flows, your goals planning glow up. This is the demo I did at Canvas 2026 in London this year. Planning the quarter always takes a long time. You have to align all your stakeholders, get everyone's insights, ideas, priorities, user feedback, business feedback, sales feedback, customer support feedback. So you have to track all of that. Usually takes a lot of back and forth meetings. And then at the beginning of the quarter, in just a couple of weeks, your roadmap already breaks, something already changes, a new priority already comes in. And that's kind of exactly what I wanted to fix. But before I go, hi, I am Carolina. In case you don't know me, I am a strategic product designer and workshop facilitator. And I am also a Miro creator. I have already created more than 125 templates at Miroverse, and this is one of the ones that I want to show you today. Basically, it is one board that will help you track your goals throughout the year, quarter by quarter. So the full cycle with planning, tracking, and learning. Basically, it's a template that is divided into 4 steps. First, there is a planning workshop, then the track and documentation, then reviewing and reflecting, and closing the quarter. How this template came to be? Well, it came to be from my frustration actually with the whole process of goal planning and OKRs planning and roadmap planning. And I started by actually creating the workshop, right? Because I wanted to fix the most pressing problem, which was actually literally creating the roadmap. I've worked in many startups and we always struggled with getting everyone aligned, a lot of back and forth meetings and etc. So as a workshop facilitator, I decided to create a workshop for that. Created a workshop. A few months later, Miro launched Miro Flows, and I decided to add a little bit of AI to also support with tracking the goals and sharing insights and etc. And then this template kind of evolved into the big system that it is today. So enough talk, let's actually get into the template. In the first quarter here, there is a full example that you can take a look into also just to see how it all goes. But I want to show you kind of how it actually works. Let's see, we are in Q2, right? It's still June. And at the end of the first quarter, we did the planning workshop, right? So we've discussed what everyone's ideas of priorities were. We collected what objectives the whole team thought were important. We clustered them. We voted on the ones that we believe were more important. Then we used Moscow framework to define and help prioritize these objectives. And we came down into 3. We decided into 3 objectives, which is a good number, not too many, not too little. We talked about metrics. We defined metrics for each of these goals and also aligned on a few initiatives, maybe even some initiatives that we were already working on. We did the workshop and then we needed to track it. So we used Miro Flows to create this awesome table here that after we also added more information, right? So we added priorities. We also gave it an owner, deadlines, and we keep track of the status of each objective throughout the quarter. So this is basically the table that you will use during the whole quarter, right? After planning, to keep track of how everything is going. But also one thing that we can also do once we already have the objectives and the table more filled is that we can create some slides with Miro Flows as well to share the plan, right? So we define the goals, you already know the deadlines, the owners, the priorities. We can create 2 simple slides to share with leadership, with the stakeholders, and even with the rest of the team, right? Also, using Miro Flows, we can create some documentation that can be quickly shared also with the summary of what the quarter plan is. So during the quarter, we reviewed, we keep track of it with the table, and then at the end of the quarter, I already have a view here synchronized that shows me which objectives we achieved, which ones we unfortunately didn't. It happens, right? And then we can now actually summarize that also with Miro Flow. You can even see here the prompt, right? We can run it and it will create a couple of slides summarizing the results of the quarter. This template here, these slides, I can actually use to share with the team beforehand and also to share with them at the beginning of the retrospective. So there is a retrospective embedded in here, right? Which, of course, this is an example. So I already have here some learnings of what went well, what didn't go so well, what we should change, and what we can do about it, right? So all the learnings that we had throughout that quarter. Then, using all of this, the slides that we are still creating and the retrospective, we can also generate newer documentation. So a document that shows, that summarizes what we achieved, what we didn't achieve, and what we've learned. And also, again, more slides that we can use to share with leadership and main stakeholders. I can see here that the first slides have already created. So yeah, and of course, right, they are generic. You can actually literally update them with your brand guidelines, right? So it makes sense for your company. And you see here a summary of the quarter and the main takeaways. And then here it's already generating our document and the slides with the closing the quarter. So as this is running out, let's actually move forward a little bit into Q3, right? So we are already aware of what went well, what didn't went so well, and we are now planning Q3. So we will run again the workshop, right? So we do again the whole planning workshop, and based on the goals, metrics, and initiatives that we created, we will then populate our tracking table. So we run again the flow here, and it will populate the table. While this is happening, let's go back there and see the documents that were created after the retrospective. So we have here the summary of the quarter, right, with the results and also the learnings and commitments from the retrospective. The slides are getting ready as we speak so that you can change your brand guidelines and share with your main stakeholders, your team, your leadership, and everyone else, right? Even the entire company sometimes. So here, yeah, it already filled out our table, right? It already has the goals and the initiatives. You can assign the priority for each initiative, for each goal. And you can also then use the table to generate then the documents that you can share with your quarter plan and also the plan in a slides format, right? And then you repeat again and again, right? You will do a retrospective at the end of the quarter. You will close the documentations and you will use that to feed into the next quarter planning. Also, one thing that I highly recommend is to, if you don't know how to, is to ask for support to facilitate both the planning workshop and the retrospectives. It's always good to have someone neutral instead of, let's say, the main boss. I can also help with that. If you need, just contact me, right? You have all my details also in the template. I also have some tips on facilitation in case you need. And of course, you can always tweak the flows, add more input maybe if you have them. Miro just launched some updates into Miro Flow, so there's a lot of new things that can be done. And this template will continue to evolve also as new things come in. So yeah, I would love to hear if you try it out. Let me know. Yeah, thank you for watching.